Hi, this is Roy from Arena Mini 4-Wheel Drive Club, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and today we're gonna talk about the pulley cutter, and it's by using the broken chassis. As you can see, it's broken, and there's lots of damage for this chassis. And for the idea that create this video is because we played the Tamiya a lot, and there's one thing is, no matter how strong the chassis material that we are using, no matter carbon reinforced or the reinforced chassis that we are using, but it will still broken one day. So most of people, when the chassis broken, they just throw away because that is for them that's a garbage already. But for me, I don't want to waste anything because it's still useful for me. So that's why I using the broken chassis and create something, make it is still useful, not wasting. So that's why I built this the pulley cutter. As you can see, I just using this pulley cutter to cut this the Sundershot Junior cow, and cut this in the video, and that you can see how it works. And just check the video and see how this one works and how this one get built. Okay, and just check the video, check it out. Okay, so this is my Super XX chassis, and that's the 3mm spacer. And there's the regular nuts that we need, and there's some 5mm screws, and also there's 2 of the long screws, and we need 2 popsicle and 1 multi-roller state, and right now we call it edge plate, and screwdrivers, nut drivers, and the wire. Okay, so now we're gonna take the wire, and we need to remove the cover skin for the wires. So I just make the video faster. Okay, so we just I just pull the metal and try to make the both side left and right are even. So now we take the popsicle and take the edge plate, and we measure the holes and see which holes that we have to bolt the screws. So we insert the 5mm screws, and tied it with the regular nuts. So when we tie the screws, I shake it a little bit and see is it loose enough. Because when we install the 2 popsicles, I will said don't tie it all the way in first, and just make a little bit loose. And then because what we gonna do later, and I'm gonna show you in the video how to, especially when you put the wire on, then how to make the wire is tight enough. And by the way, for today, because we are using the Super X chassis, and it doesn't really mean it has to be Super X chassis, as long as you can find a way to bolt this plates, the tools on, and then you can hook up the wires, then you should be good. It doesn't have to be the Super X, just because for me I have the Super X chassis on my hand, so that's why I choose it. And now we're gonna install the wires. So right now we're gonna put the wire through the first hole of the popsicle. So on the other side, we put the wire in, and we have to pull the wire from the both side, and we pull it together and try to make both wire are same size. Not one side is too long, the other side is short. We want to make sure it's the same size. So after you find the right size, then you just twist the wires a little bit, and it will stay the shape. And then we just take the wire and around and through the same hole again, and just pull it. And when you pull it, just pull it gently, then the wire can be through the holes easily. Because if you pull too fast, and the wire will change the shape, it will twist it, then you have to do all over again. So do it a little bit gently, and just make sure when you pull it, you tight it, like pull it, it's tight enough. Okay, then we gonna pull the wire and to the other side of the last hole of the popsicle. And for the wire, you doesn't really has to be do exactly same thing as I do. Like it doesn't have to be on the both side, the end of the popsicle, to using those holes. You can do some others, like if you wanna tighten more, you can just do couple times and tight the other side, and just make it more tighter. You can always do that. Just for me, I'm just try to show you the idea how it basically works. And now we're doing the other side. It's basically same thing. Just make sure when you pull the wires, make sure it's first is straight, and second is tight enough. That's the key point. You have to get the wire tight enough, because once you start using the wire to cut the pulley cowl, because you have to force, because the wire is gonna transfer the heat, and when you cutting the pulley, you have to pull it a little bit to make the wire go through and start following the shape that you want to cut. So you don't want, like when you try to pull it, then if you pull it hard enough, then if the wire is loose, then you will change the shape. So you don't want it to happen. So make sure you tight it enough. So after you finish the wire, then you can start tightening the nuts. So when you are all set, just try to make the wire is a little bit straight. And now we're gonna work on the chassis. So we try to bolt 2 long screws at the rear bumpers that we usually install the rear plates. Okay, so for here, because he just pulled on the screw, so I just speed up a little bit and to make it go more faster. Okay, so now we put the 3mm spacers. Then we gonna tie the spacer with the nuts. And because I just adjusted the height, because I checked the height for the Super X chassis for this one, if I need to install that, and that's the height I need. So now we can put on the bracket. Okay, so now we can hook up the wire with the terminal. So just when you hook up the wires, just there's only one thing has to be careful is the wire cannot try to make the wires not touching the chassis, because the wire will transfer the heat, so you will melt the chassis if the wire is touching the chassis. So I spent a little bit time and to adjust the wires, making that is not touching, and because I have to make sure on the chassis won't get melted, because I do a couple tests already, and this chassis has been melted for a little bit when I do the first test. So now I'm doing the adjusting for the wires, as you can see, and now it's not touching at all. And now we're gonna do the other side. So basically you don't really have to follow the way I try to hook up the wires, as long as you can using the wire to get contact with the terminal and not touching the chassis. Basically you are good. Okay, so you can see now it's done. Both wire has been hooked up already. And now I just try to pull those wires and try to make it stay away from if I need to using it. So you can just do, so you can do same thing as like I do, and put it in the hole and just twist it a little bit and turn it around to the popsicle to make it tight. Yeah, you don't have to using the multi-roller stay for 2017, even though the regular multi-roller stay will do the job too, so it doesn't have to be this one. So now we do the final check and it's good to go. And now we're gonna put on the battery, and we just put the battery lock first, then gonna do put into the battery into it. When you put the battery, just be careful, because sometimes when you install the battery, you might touching the wire and move the wire, and then you don't even know the wire is touching the chassis. And then we're gonna turn the switch on. Okay, make sure it's on. And now we are ready to cut the pulleys. As you can see, now I'm cutting the pulley. When I tried to cut the pulley, I tried to not press it very hard to pull it, and because you might change the shape of the wires, and then so that's why I tried to do it slowly. Okay, so now it's done, and now I'm gonna show you guys there's another benefit for making this kind of tools. So we just speed up a little bit and let it go faster, because it's basically same procedure that we install the wires, so you don't have to watch it again. So I speed up, and then you can see I'm trying to remove the bracket, because the bracket is removable. So like you can, before you, like right now we just took off the bracket from the chassis. Then right now I try to pull the wires back to straight, and because when you pull it back to the straight, then that will be easier for you to install it back and also to storage it. Then you don't have to follow the same procedure that I do for storage the wires to do it. Then you can just find your way, and even though just tape it or whatever, as long as it works for you, and that's fine. And for this one also, there's a reason for me to using the Super X chassis, because the Super X chassis, that is the motor is set up from the bottom. So if I need to do something else, I can still use the chassis, but only need to replace the motor terminal, that part, if I need to using for something else. And as you can see, the size for this whole tools is not that big. So right now I'm pulling back the nuts, and to tie it back at the rear and make sure I don't lose that. And now I'm gonna show you the size for this tools box, and for this tools is perfectly fit, and there's also lots of room for it. Okay, thank you for watching. This is today's video. So if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share, please. And also you can follow my Instagram. And for the next video, what we're gonna using the broken chassis to do the braking tools. And if you like to see that, please follow my channel. Thank you.